Shalom Havarim. Hello friends. It's good to be with you this Sunday morning or whenever you are watching. I heard an interesting story this week about a young man named Timmy. Timmy was starting kindergarten and just lived a few blocks away from the school. And every day for the first week or so, Timmy's father would walk with him to and from school. But Timmy was a little bit embarrassed by his dad. Dads can be a little bit strange, so I'm told. And eventually Timmy's like, Dad, do you mind if I just walk to school by myself? Well, of course, Timmy's dad wasn't going to let him walk to school by himself. Timmy's 5 years old. So what his dad did was he went to the neighbor, Shirley Goodnest, and he talked to her. You see, every day Shirley walked her daughter, Marcy, to school as well. So Timmy's dad just said, Hey, Shirley, do you mind walking just half a block behind Timmy? Just make sure that he's okay. Make sure he gets to and from school without any issues or concerns. And Shirley was happy to do this. So for several weeks, Shirley and her daughter Marcy would follow Timmy to school, about a half a block or so behind. And after a while, one of Timmy's older friends noticed this, and he went to Timmy and said, Timmy, do you know that woman behind you? And do you realize that she's always behind you, like each and every day? And Timmy says, yes, that's okay. She's going to continue to follow me every day from here on out. But it's okay. That's my neighbor, Shirley Goodnest. So the friend is like, really? That's kind of strange. Why do you think that your neighbor's going to follow you every day from here on out? And Timmy says, well, it's because it says so in the Bible. And my mom reads this passage to me every night from the Psalms. And it's this passage about this shepherd and water and a staff. And that passage ends, Shirley Goodnest and Marcy shall follow me all the days of my life. Come on, that was one of the better ones. Hopefully come on, let's be honest, you're going to tell that one tomorrow, aren't you? Come on. Today is Holy Humor Sunday. This is a Sunday that we are going to dedicate to telling jokes. And this tradition actually goes back, I don't know how many years. It's common in a number of denominations. It's this realization that Easter Sunday is the biggest joke ever told because God played this trick on evil, and God defeated evil and death through the resurrection of Jesus. The empty tomb was the biggest joke ever told. Now, I think, at least from my observation, it seems like more and more churches are observing Holy Humor Sunday this year than ever before. It's usually the Sunday immediately following Easter. I think that's because we need something to laugh about. We need a little humor right now. It's been a tough year, and we have earned a little bit of humor. And humor is biblical as well. Psalm 126 begins this way. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dream. Then our mouth was filled with laughter and our tongues with shouts of joy. Then it was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. So what we're going to do with our time here this morning is I'm going to walk you through the overarching narrative of the Christian faith. We're going to look at 5 different points. We're going to talk about creation, the fall, covenant, redemption, and restoration. And under each of those categories, I'll have 2 or 3 jokes for you. All right, you ready? Let's go ahead and start with creation. Now, I'm not going to explain to you why I think each joke fits under each category. You'll have to figure that out for yourself. And if there's no discernible way or reason why it fits under there, that's because I thought the joke was funny and it needed somewhere to fall. So anyway, creation. We start with creation. God created heaven and earth. God created everything that is in the heavens and the earth. The sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, every animal, all the plants there within. And God created us. God created all of these things to be in harmony. So, joke number 1. Did you realize that there is baseball in the Bible? Yeah, it says right there in Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. All right, we're going to get that one out of the way because that was bad. The next one. Okay, here. The other day I came across some ants in my kitchen, and there was probably, 10 of them or so. And they were just kind of wandering around. They seemed like they had no aim or purpose to their life. And I felt bad for them, so I built them a small house. So I guess that makes me their landlord, and they would be my tenants or tenants. Gotta say it right. They're my tenants, 10 ants. All right, we're getting started here. We're warming up. How about this one? Do you know why the pepper couldn't compete in the archery tournament? Because it didn't have an arrow. Habanero. All right. One more. Many people, especially those who sleep in late, many people don't believe that the grass is wet in the morning, but I do. And I should thank several of you who sent me jokes. So if you don't like these jokes, blame them. No. All right. So creation. God created the heavens and the earth and all that is within them, and has created these things to live in harmony. Point number 2 is the fall. And when we talk about the fall in the church, we think of this event where Adam and Eve broke the one commandment God gave them. God gave you one commandment. You couldn't keep that one commandment. But before we go placing blame or pointing fingers, we need to remember that we too make our mistakes. We too have gone our own way and broken the commandments of God. So much of the pain that we see in this world today, the pain and the suffering, I believe is caused by humanity's decision to go against God's will, to make our own choices, and to disobey what God has called us to do. Now, I'm not saying that God causes suffering because of our pain. I'm saying that the harm that we see, the harm that we cause one another and ourselves, is a direct result of, or indirect result of, our choices and the choices that others make as well. So that's the fall. First joke. The other day I asked my daughter to hand me a phone book, and she just looked at me and laughed, and she called me a dinosaur. She's like, "Dad, nobody uses phone books anymore." So she handed me an iPhone. Well, now the spider's dead, my daughter is furious, and we need a new phone. All right, how about this one? There was a man who was trying to lose weight. We've all been there. He was trying to lose weight, and he decided he was going to go on a very strict donut. He had a big problem with sweets, and he would often stop on his way into work at the local bakery and grab a dozen donuts or so, take them into work, eat a few himself, and share with his friends at work. Well, when he made the decision to lose weight, he used his friends at work as kind of accountability partners. And every day for a number of weeks, he wouldn't even stop at that bakery. He soon had a new route that he took to work to avoid even driving past the bakery. He was doing everything he could to lose weight. But then one day he forgot to go this new route. And he found himself driving past that bakery. And sure enough, just as he was driving past, the light came on to say that there were hot, fresh donuts available. Well, the man, he prayed to God. He said, "God, what should I do? If it is your will that I stop to get a donut, make a parking spot available right in front of the bakery." And sure enough, after the 8th lap around the block, there was a spot open. I ruined that one a little bit. All right. The point is temptation and this disharmony among human beings and among God's creation and God as well. The fall is this idea that we make choices that cause harm to ourselves and to others. But we move on from there to some good news. The third point for this morning is the covenant. Covenant is about how God has chosen to work with God's people to bring about healing and hope to this disunity among us and between us and God. And God calls this people group to be his people. And this group has expanded to include everyone who wants to participate. So covenant is about God working with us to bring healing and hope. First joke. A priest, a minister, and a rabbit walk into a clinic to donate blood. The nurse asks the rabbit what his blood type is. The rabbit says, "I'm probably a typo." Anyway, during children's time, a pastor asked the children if they understand why he wears the clerical collar. You've seen the clerical collar, often in high church traditions. So the pastor asked the kids in the children's time, "Why do I wear this clerical collar?" And a little girl in the front raises her hand and says, "I know, because it keeps fleas and ticks away for 30 days. We're going to have to work on my delivery. All right. So covenant. Covenant is about God working with a group of people to bring healing and hope to this world where there is division and brokenness and pain. Fourth point is redemption. Redemption is this idea that through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, God offers grace and forgiveness. We can be made right with God and with others through Jesus. And the church is meant to be a steward of this good news. All right, first joke. Really good news for you all. Hopefully you realize now COVID is lifting. Things are starting to open up again. I got my second shot this week, my vaccination. I received the Pfizer shot this week. That's not a joke. But things are starting to open up again. And we are told that we can meet with up to 10 people without issues. The problem is, I don't know 10 people without issues. Oh, no, we all have issues. That's right. How about this one? The other day I was making a sandwich and I accidentally rubbed ketchup in my eyes. Oh, it's all right. I'm okay. But now I have hindsight. All right, if you don't find it funny, at least I do, right? Okay, so redemption is the idea that through life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, God gives us this grace. God calls us his people, and we can be made right with God and with humanity. And the church is a steward of this message. Finally, the point I want to make is about restoration. One day, God will set all things right. Creation will be restored. We will be made right with God and with others, where we can be with God forever. Sometimes we refer to this as heaven. First joke. I told my daughter the other night that it was time to go to bed. I said, "The cows are sleeping out in the field." And she asked me, "Well, what's that got to do with anything?" I told her, "It's pasture bedtime." Okay, next one. What do you call a horse that stays up way too late? A nightmare. And I'm not going to end on that one. We have one more. Okay, the pastor went to visit John, this elderly man in the congregation. And he said to John, "John, you're getting older, and you should really start thinking more about the hereafter." And John replied, "Don't worry, Pastor, I think about the hereafter all the time." And the pastor was happy to hear about this. He said, "John, tell me more about this." And John said, "Well, every time I walk into a room, I ask myself, well, what am I hereafter?" Restoration. One day, all things will be renewed. All things will be set right. This includes God's creation. This includes our relationships. This includes our bodies. All things will be made right for those who put their faith in Jesus. All right, my friends, Holy Humor Sunday, in part because we need it. We need a good laugh. But the Bible gives us examples where the people were filled with laughter and joy is the appropriate response to the empty tomb. On that first Easter, God played the biggest trick ever, the biggest joke, and he defeated death. He defeated evil. And thank you so much, not only to God for this gift, but to each of you for joining me in this journey. All right, have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time.